Hello, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and do our final presentation today for our Servant Learning Team project, which we chose to do with St. Vincent de Paul. It was completed by myself, Maggie Sullivan.
Myself, Samantha Schieffer.
And Leah South.
We're going to go ahead and begin our presentation tonight with a little bit about St. Vincent de Paul's history. The organization was originally founded by St. Vincent de Paul, Frederick. He was kind of a role model for them, the way he worked. He was kind of a patron saint. So St. Vincent de Paul was formed after him. It also kind of is a little bit of a funny story, as another beginning of it was kind of a bunch of law students who always, I guess, for lack of a better term, talk the talk, and someone called them out on it and wanted them to start walking the walk. So their whole organizational base for St. Vincent de Paul was that we give back to the community in hopes that the community eventually gives back to us, which I think is a really neat concept in today's world. A little more, too, about the more recent history. St. Vincent is located in over 149 countries and has a worldwide membership of over 800,000 individuals. That's pretty amazing to think about when you think about how expanded the world is today, that this many people chose to be a part of this specific organization. The St. Vincent de Paul in location of Des Moines, which is where we chose to do our servant leadership project together, has been located in the downtown Des Moines area since 1970. It's had multiple additions and remodels since then for various reasons, whether outgrowing or updating. Most of that occurred in the 1990s, and they recently opened another location that's mainly just a thrift store in the Des Moines area as well, and both are thriving at this point. So that's our little bit of history about St. Vincent de Paul.
St. Vincent de Paul also has a driving mission behind them. St. Vincent is a religious-based organization, and their mission is to focus on person-to-person service for those who are needy and suffering and less fortunate in the community. St. Vincent de Paul places a significance on the spirit of the poor, humility, and sharing. St. Vincent also does not discriminate based on race, creed, or color. And St. Vincent de Paul is inspired by teaching of the gospel and the importance of spirituality, and therefore both men and women join together to serve those in suffering, without discriminating.
And so some of the things that they like to address at St. Vincent, some of the social things, they talk about the pharmaceutical needs or medications, different medical things that people will need. They try to assist people with medical and dental clinics that are set up. There's homeless shelters and temporary housing that's available for people. The Des Moines area does a lot with the thrift store, and like Maggie said, there's the new thrift store too, and then there's the one on 6th Street, and both of those were always busy when we were there, and have lots of different clothing coming in and people donating. They focus on the food pantry for people who need food. That's open quite a bit during the day hours. St. Vincent de Paul also helps with rent assistance, so people can call if they need help paying 1 month's rent, or making sure that they can stay in their apartment or where they're living. And they also do that with utilities too, so people can call if they need help with some of their bills throughout the month. And then they also have education and job training, and those take place in the evenings during the week at the Des Moines location. And then ways in that they are able to fund all the programs and things that they do. Most of it's from donations. There's benefactors, they do grants. Um, they have campaigns for fundraising and then events. They do a walk every year. And they also have a golf outing that they do. Both of those are things that they do to raise money. This year they also started going to the Buccaneers games, the hockey games. So they go to all the home games and sit out in the lobby and do some fundraising there. And they said that that's been a good source of just help with income for them.
The nature of our team project with St. Vincent de Paul was very diverse, is a word to explain it. We did not select one certain area that we specifically wanted to work in, just because we wanted to get a good general vibe for all the areas that they cover. One of the things that we covered in St. Vincent de Paul was we did some office work for them. It wasn't just stapling papers or making photocopies at all. It was much more hands-on than originally expected. We assisted them with many office work needs, such as thanking volunteers. I did quite a few handwritten letters. I saw some other students doing the same. Thanking donors as well. I mean, tons of local businesses. I had no idea the outreach that they had within the community. So a lot of thanking. We also did a lot of seeking donors. We made a lot of phone calls to organizations and individuals again, both new and old to them, which was really exciting. Basically, I got to educate them upon the mission of St. Vincent de Paul and some of the history. So again, that really religious-based institution, all the social services that they offer to those within the local area. A little bit of statistics about how many people they were serving and what kinds of needs they were addressing. A lot of offering of the educational services too to individuals, such as if they would come in for anything or buy anything in the store and were interested in, like learning English or learning how to use computers, and bettering their skills in those areas. They would have them fill out a survey, and based upon their scores on that survey, we'd call certain people and offer them certain classes, which I found was really interesting.
And then another big area in which we served was in the Child Watch program. And just recently they've kind of expanded their program to having it during the day hours. It was 3 times a week in the evenings from 5 to 9, but they've started doing it from 9 to 5 throughout the week for people who are volunteering or people who might be in the program at night that they've hired to work during the day at the thrift store or at the food pantry. So the Child Watch program included meals. You can see the picture where it's got the little kitchenette, and so we would prepare food and feed them during the day and then at night too. There was an update sheet that we filled out for each child, which included just information for the parents about how the day went and any details that went on throughout the time we were there. The Child Watch program is open to both people who are attending the job training and classes in the evenings, and also people who are there in the evenings volunteering. So mostly the time was spent with, there was one child who the mom was taking classes at night, and she also worked there during the day, so there's both of those times. And then there's also, on Tuesday nights, the Des Moines Police Department volunteers at St. Vincent. And so there was a child that was from one of the parents of the police officers that we watched during the time that he was volunteering.
Another part of St. Vincent de Paul that we had the opportunity to work in and help in was the organization of donations. I mean, I did most of my hours during the morning hours, and it's just a continuous flow. It really takes a body of people working together to organize and prioritize what goes where. As you can see in some of the pictures, just piles and piles of clothes, all sizes, infants, boys, girls, women's, men's, talls, shorts, largest, smalls. It was amazing. I found that one of their rules is this is a store, and I was told this multiple times, if it has rips, stains, holes, or missing items, they do not put it out there. They do not want people to feel that they're getting secondhand items. They wanted it to feel like if you were just trading clothes with friends, which I thought was great. You know, not making this feel like it was something that was secondhand or people were just dumping things that they didn't want anymore on top of this organization. I mean, they got just so many different items. I mean, with Christmas coming up and the holidays, they were starting toy collections. They had a whole specific pile for just toys and holiday decorations. They got books, a ton of rollerblades, a ton of different kinds of shoes, comforters, drapes, I mean, kitchen supplies, a couple of fish tanks, some dog stuff, some cat stuff. It was amazing. And they take it all in and they look at it, and even if it's broken, they'll look and see if they can fix it. And they just really want to provide anything they can. Home furnishings was another one that I pushed for. They wanted people to feel that even if they didn't have the funds to buy really expensive things, that the environment they were living in was a home. So they really pushed for the donation of home goods like couches or like I said, like drapes, lamps even. I mean, decorative trays, things like that.
Mattresses, beds and mattresses.
Yeah, they opened up the mattresses as well, which was another big one for them. The sealed mattresses in the back. Bicycles, they were starting to for something as well when I was there. So it was really interesting to see all the donations they received and how open they were to really anything. And they also did a lot of home pickups, which I found was very nice. A lot of people would call when I was in the office and ask if they could donate something, but they didn't have the time to bring it or for whatever circumstances or reasons. And that was no problem at all. Based upon your zip code and your location, they'd come and pick it up and bring it in and see what they could do with it.
And aside from material items that they provide for others, they also receive donations in which they, in return, donate, is like bread and cake and other desserts that are donated from Hy-Vee and other local businesses like Walmart, any place that really sells packaged food. And it was just crazy to me how much they get in, especially bread. I mean, we were filling up bin after bin full of bread, and you know, it's free. People can take however much bread they want, and so when the truck came pulling up, we would run outside, jump in the back of the truck, bring some carts out, throw all of the bread in, put all of the desserts and pastries in another bin, and you know, we kept taking the bins in and out because people were just grabbing them like hotcakes. And then we would bring the dessert out, and the rule is that you can pick up 2 desserts. So they had cake and pastries and pie and all that sorts of stuff. But yeah, the bread wasn't free for all. You could take however much you wanted, and the desserts you could take 2 of. So St. Vincent de Paul is very generous when it comes to donating items as well that are not material items.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they also had that a food pantry and kind of basic, I guess, necessity pantry too that I saw. Like if you needed diapers or formula or
Yeah.
just a little bit of food to get you through the week. And I mean, they had anything from like frozen food items that were donated, like chicken nuggets and pizzas and rolls of just, ground beef, which is really expensive anymore, pork, bacon, that on specific nights, and based upon how many individuals you're caring for or feeding, they would, allot a certain amount out to people, which I thought was really awesome. Or even I noticed too, they had some nights where they'd actually cook dinner as well too, which people seem to really enjoy.
Yeah. Our servant learning team project concluded with us learning many new things. And on a day-to-day basis, we served about over 100 people a day. And the work services we completed and participated and contributed to the mission and work of our community partner by serving those in suffering, no matter their ethnic or cultural background, age, economic level, anything of that sort. Um, we accomplished being able to assist St. Vincent de Paul in the areas where they were most in need as well, like sorting out those clothes and getting the clothes out, and sorting the bread and the desserts and everything when the truck came pulling into the back. Um, we served numerous amounts of individuals, like I said, probably over 100 a day within the local community that were underserved or not served at all, that were in need. We gained knowledge and experience of how St. Vincent de Paul functions as an organization, and the time and devotion it actually takes to keep a place like that up and running. We also gained confidence. We were stepping out of our comfort zone and putting our time on hold to serve others that were in need. And lastly, we really learned how to truly embody a servant leader and serve individuals while ignoring factors like their race, color, creed, but only putting into the consideration of their situation and needs.
Yeah,
I would have to say, go ahead, Leah, pardon me.
I think the biggest thing that I learned, especially through doing the Child Watch, just the importance of, putting others first and thinking about them first, and that might involve us being flexible and doing things a little bit differently than we might do them, but that's how it's best going to serve the people who are in need. So I think just kind of having a broader understanding and thinking about that everybody's different, and it's important to think about their needs over what we think will work best or what our needs are.
I agree, definitely. I felt for me individually, it was definitely that gaining confidence and stepping out of my comfort zone that was the biggest learning I had. I grew up in a pretty sheltered community, honestly. I mean, the biggest problem we'd have is like someone, out of the blue would get divorced, or we'd have like one foreign exchange student, and that was the only ethnic, really experience I had was, one person that came from an Indian reservation in like Atumwa. Ooh, big jump there. Not really. You hear of people that are poor or needing or underserved, but I really just truly did not know the extent of it that was right within the local surrounding area of me, especially working in the office and receiving phone calls from people. I'd probably receive, I'd say 50 to 60 phone calls in maybe the 4 or 5 hours I was there, asking who they would speak to about rent assistance. And to me, that was just unfathomable. Like, I cannot imagine personally ever getting to that point, or never having someone there for you to lean on. I grew up in a pretty tight community of family and friends, and I just never there's always that next person that's got your back, and people just do not have that. And I really noticed too that, the servant leaders within the community, just working at St. Vincent de Paul, they're known. People know who they are. They don't even have to have met them before, and they'll walk in and be like, are you Andrew? Or are you, so-and-so told me about it. And I think that's just such a great honor, I guess is a way to describe it, is you really are seen as a leader and you don't even realize it. So that's something I try to strive for now, wake up and think, who needs what from me today? What can I do for them today? How can I push my, issues aside and help them get what they need, which I think is especially important since healthcare obviously requires you to care for others, and sometimes we can get a little bit caught up in our own needs when we should be worrying about someone else's.
I do have to make a comment though. The employees that work for St. Vincent de Paul, they were absolutely amazing. I mean, I walked in there every day. They greeted me. They tried to give me free bread. They told me to take dessert home, and they were just being so friendly. And of course, I was like, no, we have this here for a reason. It's for them. I said, but thank you so much. They remembered my name every time I walked in there, and they would always tell me to go take a 15-minute break. You've been on your feet for 2 hours now, and even when they're there to serve others, but really when I was there, trying to put myself in their shoes, they were also there trying to help me too. So I mean, these people are just amazing. They're great employees for St. Vincent de Paul.
Yes, I had the same exact experience.
Yeah, they're just fantastic.
Um, I really think we addressed our thesis statement as well, and our paper was with, meeting the objectives of the semester. Obviously, we all are always going to have some work to do, and it's going to take time to reach that ultimate servant leadership level, but with continued work and an open mindset, I think we'll get there, but we're working our way there.
Are you guys able to?
I really would. I even told them that I would really like to work with them in the future and do more volunteer work with them, because I really did enjoy my time there. And they're doing everything for a good cause, and it's just a really great organization.
I agree.
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to talk about the kind of ways in the future that we'll be able to work with and volunteer, and things that St. Vincent will need kind of going forward. One thing, like I talked about opening up the Child Watch program and center, it's so many more hours that there's a great need for volunteers, and more time commitment for people to be there to watch the children during the day hours. And then also they've got a lot of big events annually that they do, and the everyday things, but more volunteers, just as we talked about, there's so many needs and so many things that are constantly going on and happening that they always have a need for more volunteers and people to be helping.
Yes, very. That concludes our presentation about St. Vincent de Paul. It really is an amazing organization, kind of a hidden gem, I guess you could say. They definitely need continued support throughout their journeys. They're definitely growing and offering a lot more to individuals. But at this time, I hope we can have helped them for the short time we were there and possibly continue to be there. At the end of this, we've attached a reference for your convenience as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.